everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Small Worlds podcast. We're so excited to be doing this and to finally be sharing it with everyone. But first of all, I'm one of your hosts, Paulina, and I'm here with our co host, Ali. How are you, Ali?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. This podcast has really been a long time coming for us, and I'm really excited. We're really excited to share it with other people. It's been something that we've both been looking forward to for a long time, and it's been a fun journey.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I feel like it's at least been an idea since 2020, 2021. But I know around then that's when you first started your podcast. But I didn't know if you wanted to get into that a little bit.
Yeah, totally. So the Owl's Nest, the name of my podcast, was kind of like a spur of the moment kind of thing. It was like, okay, what's something I could do right now, and something that I would probably want to do for a long time. And I was just like, oh, it'd be cool to have a podcast. So I started that. It was during the summer, I remember, and it was just my little like summer project, and it did a lot better than I ever could have like asked for or like thought.
Hmm.
So and like you were a big part of that too. Like you were there from the beginning, and I appreciate that. Like I don't think I've ever told you, but like thank you.
No, for sure. I mean, I even remember when you were going through that whole process and told me that you wanted to start it and everything. I was excited for you. It at that point that wasn't even something that I wanted to pursue personally, but I knew you were really excited to do it and I was excited to see the process and see the product of it. And there has been times in this past year that I have gone back and listened to the episodes just because I don't know, we've changed so much since then and I feel like that's kind of cool to realize. But what's really funny is that I didn't even end up being on that being on the owl's nest, but like you said, I was part of it in a way.
For anyone who doesn't know, she is on every episode. She is the voice that opens up in the intro of The Owl's Nest. A little bit of like editing room magic, but it's her voice for sure. And she was supposed to have like an entire episode all to herself, but technology can sometimes do exactly what it's not supposed to.
Not gonna lie, I kind of forgot that I had did the introduction to that, but not in a bad way. I just it kind of slipped my mind that I did that. But you're right, I was at least a little a part of every episode. But eventually, all of that led to now and you coming and asking me if I would want to do this show with you. And when you asked me, I was so excited and just so I don't know, kind of taken back. I was very grateful, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Just mostly grateful and excited, honestly.
Oh, I appreciate that. Um, for me, it was really just like Paulina needs to be heard. I just feel like I gain so much from like having these conversations with you. I like honestly, genuinely like had recurring thoughts where it was just like people need to hear this. People need to hear this. Me asking you to do this with me was like kind of my way to like getting you into it. People need to hear this, and now they will.
That's oh my goodness. That's so I don't know, that's kind of touching. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
mean
true.
I remember there have been multiple drunken nights of us hanging out and I just rant to you about how I want to pursue journalism so bad, but it wasn't my first career choice. But it's kind of something that's always been in the background. I've always loved to write, but more for personal use, I guess, not really for other people to read. But as I've gotten older, I've realized I really love connecting with people. I really love talking to people and I feel like you coming to me and asking me to do this with you is that little extra push that I needed and that is just such a opportunity, and I just feel like super grateful that you're able to kind of do that for me.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Of course, I'll still have my project on the side, but
Mhm.
for now, this is the main thing. This is until that comes out again. This is where I'm at. I'm here and I'm present.
Yes, for sure. And honestly, like what's funny is if I could go back and like talk to little freshman high school me and be like, "Hey, you know that guy you sit next to in geometry, like the one you don't really like that much, he kind of gets on your nerves a little bit. Y'all are going to be best friends and y'all are going to start a podcast in the future." Like honestly, if you were to tell like freshman me that, I probably like wouldn't believe you, but I'm like I keep saying this, but honestly, just really grateful for how everything turned out. Like, you're one of the only people that I still hang out with from high school. So that's kind of funny how that worked out. And like, I feel like we have just such a, personally, in my opinion, like, such an irreplaceable, like, friendship. And I'm definitely just like constantly like shocked by the way everything kind of turned out to be, not even like in a good or in a bad way, but sorry, my mic went out for a second, but
Now you're all good.
um just like not even in a good or a bad way, just mostly that like like I feel like when you're younger you kind of have a image of like how your life is going to be, and then like you kind of graduate high school and you realize the real world, how everything is, and everything changes. And I don't know, like I'm once again like super grateful. And I feel like since high school, it's kind of been like a fever dream for me, honestly. Like it's just been one thing after another, like graduation, college, like I moved away, I came back, like it was just so much stuff. But I feel like honestly this whole project and like this podcast honestly is like a really good example of like how things just kind of like happen. Like since graduation, it's just been one thing after another, but honestly, none of it has really been planned. It's just like kind of taking one step at a time. And like this kind of just like fell into my lap, but like it felt like something I needed to do and like really wanted to do. But I don't know, like what do you think? Do you feel like freshman you would um agree with how your life turned out?
Agree? Probably not. But be content, satisfied? Yeah. Um, freshman me would be like genuinely. I feel like both surprised and proud of how things have like gone after like high school generally. Like you said, it's really just been one thing after the other, and you face things that you really think that you can't, and you get through them, and it's like I definitely could have if it came down to it, and it did come down to it, and you did get through it, and it's like
Yeah.
coming on the other side of that is, or coming out on the other side of that is just remarkable. Freshman me would at least like see what it took to get here, like no matter how unwarranted it may have been, it happened, and I got through it.
I
He'd
mean,
be grateful, I think, as well.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, I was just gonna say that like I just saw a post today, literally like just saw a post today that had said like you realize after a while that life is just getting over things that you think you're never gonna get over, and then you do, and like it's just like that feeling of like feeling like this is never gonna end, like this is always going to like be like my weight, to carry, and then all of a sudden like it's not, and that's just like one of the like absolute just best feelings, and all you can feel after that is just like super grateful for where you're at, no matter if like this was somewhere you planned to be or if like you never saw yourself here, you know what I mean?
mhm.
But I totally agree with you.
There's this like massive sense of relief almost, like kind of this like big breath out. And if you're breathing out, you're breathing. So I feel like that's like a really good, I call them like pulse checkers, where it's like,
Hmm.
okay, how are things? Is there a
Yeah.
pulse? If there's a pulse, you got it. Keep going.
Yeah. I fuck with that, not gonna lie. I
Thank
fuck
you.
with that. Pulse checkers. I feel you. I mean, like, I know like nobody probably wants to talk about this, but I feel like since the pandemic, like that was really just like the turning point for everyone, you know? Like I just feel like since then it's kind of been a fever dream like for everyone. I feel like everyone's just kind of going through the motions and like I don't know, personally, I just feel like did we ever like really recover from that, you know? Like kind of like that feeling of just putting like one foot in front of the other and just like going through the motions. I feel like after the pandemic, like that feeling was just amplified and I don't know. I feel like I have my theories as to why like it kind of feels that way, but I don't know, like why do you feel like everyone kind of like feels like this sense of just like going through the motions?
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we have never seen this before. It, my brother once said, um, every this is everyone's first time in life, and for us specifically, this is the first time that this is happening in like at this like rate, right? This pace, this severity, this potency. This is the first time that's ever happened, like in history. We're like, there's just no reference for it. We're like you said, we're taking it one step at a time as best as we can, and that's not really like. Sometimes it just takes a bit of like unconsciousness to get through like this kind of thing, and we're like at that point where it's like, okay, for this to act like for me to get past this, I might have to like clock out for just a little bit, and it's like, okay, if that's what it takes. But like also for us, like it happened right when we were about to graduate. Like there is not a the real world for us is only pre-pandemic or like post-pandemic, whereas for
Wow.
everyone like else, they have a semblance of the world pre and post.
I've actually never thought about that, and now that you've told me that, that's actually terrifying. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know why, but something about that just doesn't sit right with me. Like, what? That makes a lot of sense because, like first of all, there's two things I want to say. Number one, there's another post. I'm chronically online, so I refer to posts a lot, but I saw another post a while back that was like, some of y'all don't have the dissociative abilities that are needed to survive like the apocalypse. Like
yeah,
sometimes you just need to clock out for a second and just come back, you know?
yeah,
And I feel like that's real. Like, and then sometimes you just gotta hit one of those pulse checkers and you're like, all right, I'm back.
yeah.
What do
Literally,
we need to do? What do we need to do? But I've like honestly never thought about that whole idea of like you said, like it was at the end of our junior year, like going into our senior year that like, you know, COVID like really was really impacting the world. And I just remember like thinking when I was younger, like I feel like every child has done this, but thinking when I was younger, like, man, I can't wait to be an adult, you know?
hmm
But the way our the way that the adults in our life functioned is not the way adults function now. But I feel like it's because of that, you know, because the adult life that we've known has only been like post pandemic. And I'm not kidding. Like, I've never thought about it that way. And that's kind of like scary a little bit.
no, I agree. Like it's like I kind of think of it like the internet, where or like smoking on airplanes, where it's like that must have been like a nice thing, but I wouldn't know. I mean, not for the people who like didn't smoke, but like the convenience of for a smoker to be able to smoke on an airplane is like must be nice. Can't relate.
Well, like, smoking used to be allowed like everywhere, like at schools, at hospitals. But one big thing about smoking on a plane is like when you're on a plane, and this is kind of disgusting, but when you're on a plane, it's just recycled air. That's all you're breathing in. And so, like, to think that smoking was like allowed on planes is actually insane.
Bad idea. Bad
But
idea.
that's a huge side note. I want to touch on two things that I feel like were like super I like two things that I feel like were affected by the pandemic, but like nobody really talks about. And that's the internet And like this is kind of coming out of left field, but like the working mindset, kind of like the whole like adult thing that we're talking about, like adult functionality, but like specifically our mindset around like working and like the social, like the media that we consume, and like how those two things are like connected in a way. And I don't want to like get into too many like weird conspiracies, because I feel like conspiracies were like on the uprise after like the pandemic. Like I just feel
Yeah.
like people just started, just their mind just started going to weird places for some reason. But without getting into any weird conspiracies, I just feel like, I feel like you said, we've never like faced this before, you know? But at one specific thing that I feel like was a very new experience for people is proving that the world can stop. Like it can just stop. Like, you know, people stop leaving their houses, restaurants, like people's place of work, like it all just stopped. Like I feel like for everyone that was a very, first of all, like that was like no one has ever experienced that like in this generation, you know? And I just feel like it was a really big shift in, obviously, like it was a really big thing that happened, but I feel like culturally and like that mindset that we had, it just like changed so much after the pandemic. And I feel like when people stopped leaving their houses and people stopped like, you know, going to work and all of that, it kind of gave us a moment to like realize like, damn, like I don't really like working 40 hours a week, you know? Like this shit kind of sucks. Like you're going to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You're supposed to be getting 8 hours of sleep like every night, 7 days a week. Like holy shit, like that's, you know, 2/3 of your day already, you know, like that's gone. And I just feel like when the world stopped, it like made us kind of slow down and like realize like we can do things that we enjoy, and our life isn't just about like, you know, going to work and getting the right amount of sleep. And like those are just two things out of like so many things that come with like working full time, you know? I've just joined like the workforce not too long ago, like working 40 hours a week. I mean, and like that shit is hard. Like, you know, you have to get up, or I'm saying this like nobody knows this, but like you get up like an hour before you have to leave, and then you go to work all day. You have to commute, you know, and then you have to commute back. And then it's like you have to take care of your house, you know, and then by the time you know it's time to go to sleep again. And it's like, I just feel like we normalize like that lifestyle so much. And I feel like we even had like the whole rise and grind mindset, and like the no days off and all of
Yeah.
that. And I feel like after doing that and like normalizing that for so long, I think we just kind of found it hard to believe that, you know, that the world could stop. But, you know, we kind of proved it. And in a way, maybe, and this might be a little touchy, maybe the pandemic kind of blessed us with that just a little bit, you know?
No, I agree. I agree. I think it can be seen in like the rise in like work from home. Like a lot of people haven't gone back to the office just because it's like I'm in this space that I'm supposed to like be in. Like our homes are like that kind of like important. Um, kind of like not like not symbolically, not the word, that's not the word I'm looking for, but like internally, like where we spend all of that time is incredibly important. Like for most of history, we were like working from home. Like that's what we did. Our home was the workplace. And now that it's like that's not the case, a lot of the day gets lost in a place you don't even want to be at. So
Yeah.
it's I find it like spiritually detrimental that we as a society have found ourselves here. But I understand it. You know, you need money to do things, and it's like not fair at all. I think, like you said, with the world stopping, it can happen, and
Mhm.
I feel like it should be happening more often. The world should stop more.
Yeah. And I think like I don't know, I feel like we kind of like since then we culturally like we value different things now, you know, like like you said, like you need money to do things, but I feel like our value of like working and like getting money, like I feel like it just kind of changed after the pandemic because we realized like maybe, you know what, maybe those aren't the most important things in life. Like maybe, going outside, maybe getting some sun, maybe that would be nice, you know? And I feel like those are very like simple things, but I feel like there were things that were overlooked before the pandemic, you know? And I feel like it took the world stopping to make us realize, like, hey man, like go outside for a little bit. Like go eat some watermelon in the sun. You're gonna feel so much better afterwards, you know?
Touch grass.
But no, literally, go touch some grass, damn it. And like obviously I feel like, the pandemic, it like the pandemic it caused like a really big hit to the economy, and like so many people lost their jobs and so many places like went out of business, and I feel like we've had such a hard time like recovering from that. Like we had such a like that in itself was hard to recover from, but I feel like another thing that kind of adds to that is that people don't really want to work 40 hours a week anymore, you know? So it's like these businesses, these companies, they went out of business, they lost all this money, whatever, and now trying to recover from that, nobody wants to come back to work because everyone just like had like I don't even know how many months people were not working for, and if they were working, they were working from home, you know?
Yeah,
And I just think like the whole work culture just shifted, and like now more than ever, I personally feel like people are like opting for work from home positions or even like creating their own streams of income because they're trying to find like this work life balance that was kind of unbalanced before, but we had just like normalized, you know?
yeah,
And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to get too political, but I feel like perhaps like the reason our economy like kind of fucking sucks right now is because like people don't want to work. Like people don't want to join the workforce, and I feel like that is such a big contribution to like the capitalistic society, like having the workforce and like having people contribute back to society, and like contribute back to the economy. Like I feel like, I'm not super educated. The public school system kind of failed me when they taught me about the economy because I really don't know how it works. But I feel like that's a really big part of it. Like, people joining the workforce, giving back to society, giving back to the economy. Like, I feel like that's a really big part of what keeps our economy going, And I feel like just more and more people are starting their own streams of incomes and businesses. I feel like all of that is just a lot more on the rise, and I just I don't think that like it's like the people's fault, like our community of people and like the communities of people. I don't feel like it's their fault that the economy is failing, but I do think that the people that kind of like set these systems up, it's just designed for us to like never win, It's like we work till we die, and obviously that's a loss, or we choose not to work and we can't afford anything, so it's just like it's like we can never win. It's just, how do you
the
how do you
happiest of 22s.
like how do you navigate life like that, I just
It's a terrifying prospect. Like, it's scary. It's actually the scariest. It keeps me up at night. It keeps me up at night personally. But I think, like you said, work life balance. Because like other cultures, they take different approaches, and they have different lives. And I think, like you said, a big part of that is the system in which like we are in. It it,
yeah.
it just it's a machine that keeps on eating, and it like, not to sound like a communist.
This podcast is actually just us promoting communism. Please don't take that out of context.
Wearing red pencil.
No, but like I just remember like recently I had wrote an essay like about like this topic for English. Like I said, like I'm not educated on the economy at all. So like if like anyone if anyone wants to correct me, please feel free to do so. But basically like from what I grasp from the whole system is just like that, like basically like this upper class of people that are like way above us, like untouchable, right? They pay for like all the stuff that they own, the labor needed to keep those things running. They hire people, to work there, right?
Mhm.
But they also profit off of that labor. They own this company. They pay people to do the labor involved to run that company, but then they make profit off of, whatever products that they're selling, which is basically, making profit off of the labor that other people are doing. I just feel like now, like that the working class, because like since the pandemic, now that the working class is kind of just like, you know what, like fuck this, like I'm gonna go do something that contributes, to my own wealth and like to my own, I can make my own profit off of this, and not to mention do something that I actually enjoy doing. And I don't really know if there's a lot of correlation to the fact that like inflation is so incredibly high right now and like so insane, like I don't know if it's because we have like this new generation of people like kind of creating their own streams of income and like, you know, running their own businesses, like, self-employed. I don't know if that has anything to do with like why we are paying like four times more for things that like that our parents' generation, like just a really small like thing like groceries, like my parents have told me like, you know, I'm paying me personally, I am paying like four times more than what they had to pay for groceries when they were like my age.
Mhm.
It's like it's kind of insane. Like when they were our age, they could feed like a family of four with how much I'm spending on groceries for a family of two.
That's I
It's just like I don't know. Like I just feel like no matter what, this like upper class is always going to get a profit out of it because it's like either they're going to profit off of our labor or they're going to profit off of the inflation or how much they're charging us for products or for services. Like it's like either way, like we the working class, the middle class, it's we're never like on the winning side of it.
yes. Like actually, honestly, um, the inflation, like the rising prices of groceries, is completely on corporations. Like that's not like
Hmm.
because like there is like we're actually not like the economy technically is doing really well right now, but only because the corporations are price gouging the working class. And like
Yeah.
I was thinking about this earlier actually today at work, the whole concept of wage labor. Since when is time money? That's not like what happens. You clock in. You clocking in and being there is different than you working. Like,
Hmm.
because like if you've ever been like I know you and I have done service work, right? Like you clock
Hmm.
in and like 5 minutes in the back is not quote unquote technically work, but you're
Hmm.
technically getting paid for it. So it's
Right.
like our labor. I feel like the system is set up to like steal our labor in that like kind of way because like you can do 4 hours of work in 2 hours, or you can do 4 hours of work in 8 hours.
Right.
That there's like you know. So I think with I think the human spirit is to realize, hey, time is the most valuable thing, and I need to spend it wisely.
Yeah. And like this might sound super confusing coming out of my mouth, but I feel like the people who have, all the money in the world kind of have all the time in the world too. And I feel like they realize, like, how valuable time is. And it's like, hey, let's pay people for their time and then also make everything that they need unaffordable.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be so crazy if we did that? That's literally the upper class.
Listen. We'd make so much money.
It's like, I don't know, it's insane. And like you said, like, it's more like an American culture, honestly. Like what we're talking about, it's really the American culture. It's not the whole world that's like in on this. I mean, kind of a little bit, but mostly America.
I think. our global reach is part of that problem. How it's like, because like we pay other countries for their labor.
Yeah.
Are we stealing their labor? No, because we're paying them, right?
Right.
But that's labor the country could use for itself.
I don't know, man. It's just it's all personally, I feel that it's all a little fucked up. I feel like what changing like topics just a little bit. I feel like what's interesting to me is that like kind of during and like a little bit after the pandemic, I feel like that's when we really started to see like social media like grow into what it is now. And like there's a connection here, okay? I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But like I just feel like this type of like content that is like being pushed now like didn't really exist before the pandemic. Maybe it did, I don't know. But like I'm talking about like leisure content, like this like soft life, that we see so much now. I feel like before the pandemic, it was like kind of cool to live like this like fast life and kind of show off and make everyone feel bad about like your life not their life being like not as cool as yours. But like oddly enough, in a weird way, even though like social media is so different now, it still makes people like feel bad, just like in a completely new way. And I feel like it's because it's like promoting like this soft life, like kind of like the opposite of like the fast life. And it's like the soft life is like what's cool now. And not only that, but like after the pandemic, like the lifestyle content, I mean, like I said, it could have existed before, but I personally like didn't really see a lot of it. But like this whole like spend the day with me, get ready with me, meal prep with me, like when did we decide this was cool? Number one. And like number two, like why are we eating this shit up? like I can't get on social media and not see this anymore. Like, you know what I mean? It's such a weird like evolution of the internet. And I feel like before it was kind of like, whoa, like you would see something on the internet and you'd be like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, I'll never have that because I'm just a normal person with a normal life, like everything just kind of seemed like out of reach on the internet. But now being a normal person with a normal life is kind of like what's cool. But like for some reason seeing and like having access to like so many other people's lives, like I feel like it still is making us feel bad for some reason.
No, I understand. It's I think it's a result of just exasperation. We're tired. We need we need rest, and now we're aspiring to rest. Like we've been on this hamster wheel for so long that we need something new. We need something completely different. For some reason, for some sociological evolutionary reason, the opposite of what we're going through right now is chilling out, relaxing, maxing all cool. Like I don't know. I find that hilarious. It's weird. It's weird because like we put ourselves through so much, like as like a species, like already, like and now to put on this as a society onto ourselves, it's discouraging.
As a
I think so.
society, we live in a society.
I yeah.
No, I totally understand, but I feel like that like I completely agree with what you're saying, but I also feel like that in itself is like the reason why some people feel so like bad about themselves because of what they see on the internet because like you know even though this hamster wheel sucks, for some people, it's their only option. Like, for some people, we don't have the option to work from home. We don't have the option to create new streams of income because for that, you need disposable income. And like in this economy, who has like disposable income? Not me, like, and I am one of those people that has to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, like just to afford like a very basic lifestyle. I'm not living extravagantly, like maybe I'm like lower middle class, you know, like I'm not living a lavish lifestyle at all, but like I still am like working my ass off, you know, and I just feel like it's like what the fuck? Like when do we get to rest? You know, maybe I do deserve this soft life that everyone's talking about, you know? But I just like especially for people who are trying to recover from the pandemic, like I like not even financially, more like mentally going back to like this whole like normal 40 hour week schedule, like 40 hours a week, you know, and then like seeing the type of content on the internet that's like so regular now, like this whole soft life thing. I feel like that is like the like root of like why the internet like makes us feel so bad, like even now, even like years later, like after like people trying to like make everything like acceptable now, and like you know everyone everyone is like, you know, I don't know, more open-minded generally, but for some reason, you know, there's still a lot of people that like feel bad about themselves because of what they see on the internet. And I feel like that's a really big part of it, is because like, you know, for me, someone who is working 40 hours a week, I don't have a lot of free time, you know? Like I don't have time to meal prep. I know that like might sound insane, but like I don't have time to meal prep. Like I don't have time to get ready with me. We're getting ready in the car, okay? Like that is like that's my life. And I feel like knowing that that's like my life, but then like seeing on the internet that like people like have all this time like to do all of this shit. I'm like, how are y'all doing this and like still making a living to, you know, live?
Oh, I understand. I understand. Like I'll like when I'm scrolling, a lot of the times, like my first question is, how did you pay for that? Like who like how long did you save up for that? Because like groceries is like important too. Like, are you eating? Like that kind of thing, you know? It's
Yeah.
but this whole I think into play with this soft life is how we can create a community out of it almost. Ideally, it's something that permeates, you know, like every subculture has a facet of soft life in it. That is to say, we are now a softer society. Um, but I think the barrier to that is a okay. After the pandemic, or like during the pandemic, the internet became this place of community, like more so than usual. That is to say, like the internet is now a tertiary meeting place. I saw this TikTok a while ago. Well, I saw it as a tweet
Mhm.
first because I
Uh-huh.
had TikTok at the time. But it said it essentially said it gave the concept of a third place, which is like a place outside of school and or work as a second place, and the home as a first place. So a third place is like a bar or a coffee shop, and how the pandemic like killed all of those things, like nipped them in the bud. Um, but where did the people who needed a place to go to? I feel as though they sought refuge in the internet. So like the internet becoming this like new third place, um, and the advent of soft life, I feel like that's how it has to come about. How if we this is really optimistic. I admit, but if we can find a way to get the internet to influence outside society and not the other way around, then we could easily brainwash the masses into being a more rounded collection of people.
You know what? Like you're right, that is optimistic, but like I choose to be optimistic like a lot of the time, and I want to believe, you know, that that can happen and will happen. But what's funny is like people who are like chronically online, you know, they do kind of absorb like what they see on the internet, but then like you meet that person like in real life and they are like the worst person to be around. Like I understand what you're saying, and I totally like agree. I think that especially during the pandemic, like kind of the peak of the pandemic, like when no one was going anywhere, we did kind of like you say seek like refuge like on the internet. like kind of found our communities on the internet and like found people to connect with. And none of us were doing like outlandish shit at that time. We were all at home, like we were all just kind of vibing. So it became like normal to just kind of post like your at home life and like this leisure activity. But now, like I was saying earlier, like people who only have that community of like online and then like you meet them like in person and it's like you are not real.
Yeah,
Like you like be a normal person for 5 seconds, please. I'm begging you.
like you should have had at least 3 years before you saw a computer. Why do you act like you don't even have that?
My gosh. No, like I don't know. I mean, I think third places are more like, or as you call them, tertiary, tertiary places. I feel like they're more on the rise now because I think people are becoming more aware. Like that tweet slash TikTok that you're talking about, I think I did also see that. But I think like a lot of people are becoming more aware now, like we kind of need those third places, like not home, not school or work. Where do we find our community sense of community? And I think like this is kind of like a side note, but I feel like as an adult, a lot of those third places are like bars and like clubs. But it's like you don't really meet like good people at those places. Like, you meet like alcoholics and like people that are trying to like dose you and shit. So like you don't really like meet good people at those places, but like as an adult it's like we we don't have a park. We can't go to the park as an adult.
Yeah,
Like I mean maybe like, like an open green area that you can go and sit your blanket on, but like it's like I feel like when I was a kid, it was like you just ride your bike around the neighborhood and then you meet up with the kids at the park and that's kind of just how it was. But it's like as an adult, where do you go to do that? Because
the gym.
everywhere that yeah, but people also make me feel bad about myself at the gym. So
I'm
so I
sorry.
don't know.
Gotta
No,
get you a
it's
new gym.
no, it's totally fine. I work out at the one at my complex now because it's just like older people really, so I can vibe with that, honestly. Like everyone's just minding their own business. I feel like another side note, gym culture, my God, get it out of my face immediately. I
Yeah.
hate gym culture so much. Like
Man,
it just I don't know. It's just the whole I feel like social media also has a big grasp on that also.
totally. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, if the gym culture, stoic Andrew Tate sphere is rampant, and you can smell them coming a mile away.
Mm-mm. Of I think like one really big thing, and this is like speaking from personal experience, but I think just generally, one really big thing that like our generation has made like a thing, I guess, is like the fear of like being perceived. And I think
Hmm.
like that is like one of the biggest things like when going to the gym. It's like please don't look at me. Like don't look in my general direction. Like are you insane? I just like but I feel like that's not normal. I feel like I personally like have that fear of being perceived because of I don't know, like the cultural like I don't really know how to explain it. Like I don't know. But what's funny is I think it kind of stems from the fact that people are constantly perceiving. Like especially like our generation, I guess, like we're very opinionated, like we see something and we immediately are like, I don't like that, or like, oh, I like that. And we've become like very vocal about it. And so I think as people, we've also like because we are that way, we've also like kind of learned to like turn that towards ourselves. Like I'm so cringy, I'm so annoying, I talk too much, like but I feel like it's because we are so opinionated, but then like because we know we're also opinionated, we're like also scared of being perceived.
Well, I agree. It's so stressful, because like how are you gonna
Mm.
get what you need to get done? Like
Yeah,
it's
no,
oh, I
totally. And you know what I'm grateful for? I don't know if this is where it's at or if I'm even pointing to it, but this nice little thing over here, a little something I like to call the frontal lobe, the
mhm,
frontal cortex. I'm grateful for that because I feel that shit developing. I do not be giving a fuck anymore. Like I really don't. It's just but I feel like you have to have like a certain like level of like maturity and like eventually like you just get there and you're just like, you know what? Maybe my parents are right. Maybe I actually don't matter that much and like everyone's living their own separate lives and it's really just not that big of a deal. I feel like when we're younger and like we're not really like developed, like we just think everyone's like thinking about us and like we're the center of everyone's mind, but it's like no, no one's thinking about you that much. It's just live your life. It's going to be okay.
live your life. It's gonna be okay. That's like if I could tell that to freshman me, he'd flip his lid.
No, but like I agree. Sometimes I think I mean you know Nick. Not everyone knows Nick, but you know Nick. And like
I know Nick.
sometimes I just tell Nick like I wish I could just go back to like 16-year-old me and just be like it's going to be okay. Like calm down. Take a deep breath. You are going to be fine. It's okay, you know? But I just feel like in those moments, like especially when like your mind is not fully developed, like you just think, "Oh my god, my world is crashing down on me. This is the end. This is it for me," you know? But I mean, don't get me wrong, like now like as an adult, I face like different challenges and like obstacles, but a lot of them aren't centered around the way people like view me.
How do you? Keep going. Anyway, yeah. No,
Oh, sorry, my bad.
no, you're okay. I agree. I want people if they were to perceive me, I'd like it to be on my own terms. You know, because like I'm a performer at heart. Um, so like I do appreciate the eyes at times, but I just want control over it. That might be like what's it called? Like not impossible, but like selfish to ask of. Like I want to be controlled, or I want to control how I am seen at all times, because like you said, everyone's perceiving all the time.
Yeah. And I think that's like the scary part of it is that like we want control over it, you know, like you all of us, you know, want to believe that the way we are perceived is the way that we like perceive ourselves, you know? But and like I feel like we've always been told this and it's not like a new lesson or something, but like you can't control what people think about you. Like you really can't. Like you can just be as true to yourself as possible and then like everyone is always going to think, you know, either they're going to like I don't know, like reassure those parts of yourself or there's going to be people that just like don't fuck with it, you know? And it's like you can't constantly be worried about like the people that aren't going to fuck with it because then it's like what about the people that do? Why not surround your like why not go in with the mentality that like not not going with the mentality of like I can't be myself because I don't know if people are going to fuck with it. It's like how about be yourself and then you'll find the people that fuck with you, you know? Like eventually you'll find that community of people that like truly just get you and like you don't have to perform, like you don't have to like be something you're not and like it means so much more because like you know they really like I know I keep saying this a lot, but you know they really fuck with you for who you are and not like a performance of who you are, you know? Yeah.
No, that's bars.
Bar. But kind of going back like to the whole like third places thing. I feel like this isn't like really a third place, but something that I feel like is really I know this word, but I don't think I'm gonna say it correctly. Detrimental.
Detrimental.
Detrimental. Something that's really detrimental because we don't have third places as much anymore as adults and especially after the pandemic. Something that's very important. I'm done with that word. Something that's really important is learning new skills as an adult and pursuing your hobbies as an adult. Like I think I mean, I don't know. I think like, we have like growing up, we have like these special interests and like hobbies that we're into, and then we kind of tend to like get away from them like as we get older, life just kind of gets in the way. But I think now, because we don't have those third places, like we have kind of like picked up those hobbies and interests again, because like we're not really like finding our communities. So we pursue these interests in hopes that we do find communities, and for the most part we do. And I think our society, like now more than ever, kind of supports that, like supports pursuing interests and pursuing like hobbies almost more than pursuing careers and like pursuing like things that can like get you money.
Yeah, totally. If the pandemic didn't, I probably wouldn't like. I definitely probably wouldn't have given like me. I write, but I also like an athlete too. I would say so. I
Student athlete.
student athlete. Hashtag never narp. But
Godspeed.
it's like I think for me at least there's this like not misconception but like understanding that after high school all of the things that I was interested in would not be available to me anymore. Like I would have to like stop all of these activities that pseudo defined me in high school, when in reality I feel like I defined what I did, and
Yeah.
to be able to continue that into adulthood is something seriously crucial to further the development of my adult life. Like
Yeah.
it's crucial, I think. Like if I weren't writing, if I weren't like fighting, if I weren't doing this with you, like I'd probably just be working day in day out, day in day out, nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like it's scary because honestly, that's the life that our parents lived for a long time, because it wasn't supported like in society to pursue your interests and to pursue your hobbies. It was you work and you take care of your family. And so for a lot of us, I feel like that's what our parents did. And like going back to like what you were saying about like you thought you were gonna have to let go of those things like into adulthood and everything. Like earlier I had said that life is about like overcoming things that you think like you will never overcome, but it's also about like kind of learning what to let go and what to keep to like define you. And that's a big part of it, like coming out of high school and like finding things to pursue, but like you can't just pursue everything. Like you have limits, but like you have to like find what is most important to you and like what is most important to not really defining who you are, but kind of shaping who you are. Like I love talking to people, I love talking about anything really. And so it's like this right here is like such a perfect like opportunity and like pursued interest for me. I'm not just doing it just to do it. I'm doing it because like it's something I'm passionate about, something like, that aligns with me. And I think like so much of that like adulthood is so much of that, like finding those little things that kind of affirm or like align with your person.
Finding the little alignments.
Yeah, for
Life is a
sure.
constellation.
Whoa. Put that on a hoodie immediately. I need it. I think like one of the most important things that's come out of like everything that we've talked about is that like now more than ever, like it's not unusual, I guess, to like pursue your hobbies and interests as an adult. Like it's really like supported and even like promoted to do that. And I really think it's because like when the world kind of stopped, we had an opportunity to kind of go back to those things that we have interest in, and maybe they don't make us money, but we just like doing it, and that in itself is like such a profit in a way. And I just think like it's very important, and I'm probably not the first person to say this ever in life, but it's so important to just pursue things that bring you joy just because they bring you joy and not like for any other reason, you know?
Yeah, I remember that every day when I do the three things like I was talking about. Like
Hmm.
I don't write because like I don't have any English classes. I'm not writing for school. I'm writing
Yeah,
for me.
right, exactly. And like, I feel like I feel like that's such an overlooked thing. Like people don't realize that like if you just sit down and just like clear your mind and just write down the first thing that comes to your mind, you know? Take such a load off. Like it's just such a like release, I guess, like to just kind of like, I personally I think a lot. I'm thinking all the time, but to kind of just slow down, put pen to paper. You can't write as fast as you think, So it really gives you a moment to kind of be more concise with your thoughts. You have to think of what you want to write. And then, when you write it down and then you read it back and like you gain it kind of a new understanding and you feel a little bit lighter afterwards.
I agree. I
Mhm.
always feel lighter after I write.
But I feel like all of this, everything we kind of talked about, like ties into a new generation of people. And I think me and you are part of it. Like people our age and even people that are younger than us are a part of like this new generation of people that are pursuing their interests and even pursuing their interests and hobbies as careers and making money off of them, making it profitable, like kind of um putting their passions first and then like kind of thinking of money later. And I think because of that, less and less people are choosing more like choosing less and less people are choosing like these traditional career paths. I think like, even this right here, like this is technically this is something that could make us money,
Yeah.
but it's like that's not why we're doing it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like a lot of people are kind of have that mindset now. And I mean, I think it's this might sound a little, I don't know, woke maybe, but I think it's a very like pivotal moment of history that we're living through, and we might like overlook that, but I think it is like truly pivotal to see like this new generation of people that are choosing their life paths based on this new mindset of work that kind of came about like after the pandemic, like you had said, like this is a new way that our adults are functioning after the pandemic. And it's so pivotal because it's something that's so like specific and like niche to the generations that were affected um you know by the pandemic. And like it is an American mindset, but it didn't just affect the United States. It was, the entire world. And it's, I don't know, I think that's pretty interesting.
I agree. I agree. One of the things I really want to like get deeper into is like the pandemic's effect on other society. Like if I really wanted to, I could ask like my cousins how it like how it affected them in like Nebraska or whatever. But it'll never be the same as if I asked like someone who's in like Kazakhstan, right?
Yeah. That was a specific country.
It was legitimately the first one that came to mind.
I thought you were gonna say like South Sudan or something like that, because like
This is where I'm
you have
from.
like family there. I was just like figuring. I was like, oh, he's probably gonna say like South Sudan. No, Kazakhstan. Perfect.
It was the first one that came to mind. I don't know. I think a lot about like
The Middle East.
yeah,
That's interesting. Hmm.
because it's like
Hmm.
because like okay, like this is gonna be like completely like off topic or whatever. But I like the Middle East because of how eclectic it is generally. Like they take or like Western influence. It was essentially born from the Middle East, but like as it moves westward, it becomes its own thing, and it's this and like Eastern like thought is like influences Middle Eastern thought. So it's like you have it's like because of where it is geographically. it is
Mm-hmm.
prime for like everything to like meet there. And
Which, yeah, the influence is kind of crazy. Yeah. This is also a little off topic, but what something me and Nick realized the other day, and I am also geographically not super educated. Thank you, public school system. But the part of the Middle East that isn't actually not in Asia, and I literally just realized this, is Egypt. Because Egypt is in Africa, but it's still technically part of the Middle East. But it's like the only country in the Middle East that is not part of Asia.
yeah, I think controversial opinion. I think that has a lot to do with racism.
Whoa. Is there like a lot of like dark skinned people in Egypt or something?
Only via colonization. Egyptians were colonizers, but I think just being on the African continent is like some sort of like taboo, I guess.
I see what you're saying. They were like, "No, fuck y'all. Y'all go to Africa." Like that's what you're thinking?
Hmm.
Whoa.
It
Sorry.
happens.
I hope no one from Egypt hears this.
Now, Egyptians are historic.
Whoa, whoa. I don't like where this is going.
No, I have them and the British colonized South Sudan. I
Damn.
learned
So
that recently. So it's like, oh,
it's it's personal for you.
a little bit, yeah.
No, I feel that. I feel like I need to get more educated on like the history of my country because I feel like I'm just like not super educated on it. And like I feel like you might know more about it than I do, but I feel like just that's just because like I feel like you like to learn about history and like you like to be
I do.
educated on stuff like that. I don't know, like I just lose interest in it so fast, but like people tend to like put India and Pakistan, like they tend to like just kind of like lump them together, but they're different. Like people just are like, oh no, they're the same. They were just like divided, like when like colonizers like came to India, that's when like Pakistan was formed, basically.
I I don't know, but
Yeah, me neither. That's the thing. I'm just that could be right, that could be wrong. But like what's sad is like, damn, like that's my country. I don't even fucking know.
I think it helps to know. But it's not like my life is not changed because of it.
I guess that's true. I feel like I'm failing my ancestors.
No, I think they've never had a they never made themselves a coffee before,
A
like
coffee?
like a Starbucks coffee, like
Oh,
in
what
the
the hell?
kitchen. Like I don't know. I'm trying to say there's a lot of things that you've done that would like blow their
No,
minds.
but okay, yeah, that is true. But let me also say this. My my generation, I don't there's probably a word for it, but like I was the first like person from my family to be born in the United States. Like my all of like the family before me, they all moved here from Pakistan. And so like I just feel like to be like the first person from my family like to be born here, like it just feels like I have like a responsibility, you know, to like know this, but I don't. But at the same time, who was supposed to teach me this? Who was supposed to tell me this, you know? Because no one did. It's just like I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
I agree completely. It's not only like because it's like obligation and expectation, and
Mhm.
it's like whoa, there's a lot of responsibility from being
Yeah.
born. Back up. Let me breathe. Let me figure out what
Yeah.
culture means to me first.
What does culture mean to me? That sounds like such a world history ask question, like from school. But like, I just like my dad and his sisters, they'll like tell me like about their like experiences, like, you know, living in the village and shit. And like, I just feel like it always comes back to the village, you know? It's always like, oh, in the village. It's just like, damn, okay, the village, we got it. But what's crazy is like I was only one generation away from that, you know? Like I was only like like I hate to put him out there like that, but like my dad and his siblings were like shitting in holes in the ground. And I'm only one generation away from that. Like the timeline is insane, you know? I don't know. We live in a society. That's all I'm trying to say, basically.
Our parents worked excruciatingly hard.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, I will say my dad was only 10 when he moved here, so he's pretty Americanized, but his siblings were all like grown already. So I love my dad. I love my dad. I'm gonna say that. But second of all, like, you know, he was a child when he moved here, but like my dad's sisters, they were all like most of them were like grown already, so they really had to like kind of like work, you know, to get where they're at. Yes. Anyways, we got a little off topic, but I'm super excited for our next episode. We're going to be going into social media a little bit more and how and why it is what it is. I feel like it's going to be a pretty interesting conversation, and hopefully everyone will join us for it.
They
Ollie, you
always
got
are.
anything?
They always are, and they always will.
Love that. But also, in the meantime, if you don't follow our social medias, you can go ahead and find that in the description. I post little like silly videos like to my story. So like if you care to see that, it's like a little condensed version of the conversations that we have on here. We also have an Instagram for our podcast. That'll also be linked in the description so you can follow that also for like announcements and stuff. But if Ollie doesn't have anything else, I hope everyone has a beautiful day or night depending on when you're listening to this, and we will see y'all next time.
Everyone, see you guys next time, and be easy.